Everybody, welcome to the March the 4th Board of Public Works and Safety agenda. We're recording live for the City of Madison's YouTube channel. You can stream it or view it later. Will you have a roll call, please?
Of course. Mr. Carlo.
Here.
Mayor Courtney.
Here.
And Mr. Eagle.
Here. Board, if you had an opportunity to review the minutes from the last meeting, February the 20th, if so, entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
I reviewed the minutes and approved as printed.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Move on to claims.
Mayor had an opportunity to review the claims. Today we had 26 pages totaling $3,301,732.30. With that, I'll make a motion that the claims be approved as submitted.
Second David's motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks. No adjustments, no unfinished business. We'll move on to new business, which will begin with Resolution 2024 8B. Council. Are you hot? Brian's back there. He can cool it off for us. He says he's hot. Sorry.
Resolution number 2024-8B,
Brian,
resolution
got
of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, regarding a street closing for the Life Choices Clinic Walk for Life. Whereas there's been a request filed by Lisa Perry, Executive Director of Life Choices Clinic, for a street closing in connection with Life Choices Walk for Life to be held on Saturday, May 4th, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Vaughn Drive from Ferry Street to Vernon Street shall be closed from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. on Saturday, May 4th. And that will be under the supervision and control of Life Choices Clinic at the times noted above.
Lisa, are you here? Is Lisa here? Anyone here representing Life Choices? Okay. We've done this in prior years. I know they've already filed their event plan. I'll make a motion we approve the street closure for Life Choices Clinic Walk for Life.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Next is resolution number 2024-9B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, for a street closing with regard to the Molly DeTillo 5K Run Walk. Whereas there has been a request filed by Paul Kelly on behalf of the Molly DeTillo 5K Run Walk Committee for a street closing in connection with said group in connection with the Molly DeTillo annual 5K Run Walk to be held on Saturday, May 11th, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed from 5:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, May 11th, 2024. Vaughn Drive from 160 feet east of Ferry Street to Vernon Street, Vernon Street from Vaughn Drive to First Street from Vernon Street to St. Michael's Avenue, 2nd Street from Vernon Street to Broadway Street from First Street to Vaughn Drive. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets shall be closed, shall be under supervision and control of the Molly DeTillo 5K Run Walk
Come on up if you don't mind.
at the
Thank you,
time
sir.
noted above for the year 2024.
Good timing. This is the, what year is this? Which one is this for? How many years has the Molly Run been going on?
2005.
Yeah, and we're talking about the same course as we had last year?
Yep.
I couldn't remember, was the beginning at Bicentennial last year or I thought, because I know it had been moved probably from
Yeah.
Crystal Beach because of construction there. Are you staying at Bicentennial?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good course. We just, what Joe did was read the resolution. Any questions for Paul relative to the Molly DeTillo 5K Run and Walk on May the 11th? I think
We
we'll
got it,
still
yeah.
be under construction with regards to the park and the parking lot there. It shouldn't impact you at all because your Bicentennial Park could be wide open.
Everything's cool.
No more questions?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-9B.
I'll second that. Any comments or questions? Thanks for doing this every year. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Paul, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The next one is resolution number 2024-10B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana regarding a street closing for Madison Riverfront Development Committee. Whereas there's been a request filed by J.D. Webster and Joshua Coonsey on behalf of the Madison Riverfront Development Committee for a street closing in connection with its wine, stein, and barrel event to be held on Saturday, June 15th, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that Vaughn Drive between West Street and Broadway Street shall be closed on Saturday, June 15th, 2024, from 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said street as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Madison Riverfront Development Committee Corporation at the time so above for the year 2024.
Josh, you're here. I can't believe, I know the year's gone by and it's time to plan for wine, stein, barrel again.
Yes, sir.
Same footprint relative to where the tents and events gonna be.
Yes, sir.
As I had mentioned to Paul, the parking lot across the street there is probably still gonna be, under construction, but, you know, our goal is to have it done before regatta, so it'll be very, very far along. You can see what progress is being made on it already, something you can work around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great event. Any questions for Josh?
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution 2024-10B.
I'll second the motion.
My only comment is thank you, because I know that all the proceeds you raise from this event gets returned back in a huge way to improving our riverfront.
Absolutely.
Great cause, great event.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor, please, or any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Josh, for coming down.
The last resolution for today is resolution number 2024-11B, a resolution of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, for regarding streets and parking lot closings for the annual Regatta and Rooster Tail Festival. Whereas there's been a request filed by Kyle Bipes on behalf of the Madison Regatta, Inc. for street and parking spaces and parking lot closings for said group in connection with its annual Madison Regatta and Rooster Tail Festival to be held from Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 through Sunday, July 7th, 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the following streets shall be closed from Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 at noon through Monday, July 8th, 2024 at 12 p.m. Vaughn Drive, west of the entrance of the Riverboat Inn to the east side of Mill Street, and all streets running north and south between Vaughn Drive and the south side of First Street between St. Michael's Avenue and Vine Street. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the city boat ramp located between West Street and Jefferson Street shall be closed from Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024 at 12 p.m. through Monday, July 8th, 2024 at 12 p.m. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the city parking lot located at 2nd and Jefferson Street shall be closed on July 5th, 6th, 7th, 2024 from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. Be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the parking spaces located north of Bicentennial Park on First Street shall be closed from Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024 through Sunday, July 7th, 2024. And be it further resolved by the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Madison, Indiana, that said streets, parking spaces, and parking lot as closed shall be under the supervision and control of the Madison Regatta at the times noted above for the year 2024.
Welcome. And again, another year's gone by and here you are.
Oh, yeah, we're excited.
Y'all did a fantastic job last year.
Thank you.
Despite all the weather events you had to manage around, you still got a full itinerary of events in all week long and all weekend long. So good job there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And apparently it was such a good year, you're back for more.
I guess.
So congrats.
I guess. 3 more at least for me, and then sunset I go.
So I think this is the same footprint that we did last year, about the same scheduling too. I know
Yep,
last year we
yep.
talked about, you know, the early closing on Tuesday. I think that a lot of that was kind of as needed. It does end up being a pretty long week because we close so early, but you got to get the cranes in there.
Yep, yep.
Is Tuesday when you need to start closing down the riverfront, Kyle?
Need to?
Yeah.
Probably not. Want to?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of equipment to move in there. Just becomes a long closure
Yep.
by the time you get, it basically ends up being almost a week by the
Yep.
time you get past the regatta. And I know that you'll only do what's necessary, so I'm not asking you to change things, but just be cognizant of the fact that it's a
Absolutely.
heavily traveled,
Yep.
riverfront and,
Yep.
but I know you guys have a lot of equipment and things to get in there. I do want to ask you about resident parking for those who live on, Central.
Yep.
Or, because like in some of the other events, like with, Music in the Park, we're reserving parts of the north side of Bicentennial for resident parking. Do you need all of that from Central to West Street, for example, for the regatta footprint, or can we save some of that
We
space for
could
resident
probably
parking?
save a couple. I know we call it, bus row right there, right north side of the hospitality tents. That's where they can park. Those campers can park. We haven't done the best job of going in there and marking it off of saying, hey, this is for Madison Regatta, attendees, campers. So yeah, that's something we could look into, of allowing
You
Central
could look
to-
into that, because
Yeah.
there's maybe only 3 or 4 or 5 residents
Mm-hmm.
down there, and they become stranded for the most
Right,
part,
right.
because everything around them is closed. So if we could work a few spaces on the northwest side of Bicentennial
Yep.
for them, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Okay.
How's the new park, is that going to affect where you might have campers?
So we usually have 32 campers in there. We've got it down to 12 this year. We've kind of moved some people around. There's probably going to be 5 campers in that Jefferson Street lot, Jefferson and Vaughn Drive. Back there where we used to keep the boat docks, vendors are right
Yep.
there. There's going to be 5 campers that are kind of left over, if you will, that we've moved back there. And hopefully after this year, we can get them out, and then there's no more campers in there for the future.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Our goal is to have that park and parking lot completed, particularly the parking lot piece completed
Perfect.
prior to
Yep.
the regatta.
Awesome.
And then it'll be available, but your intending is to not put campers there in the future? Is that what you said?
The Jefferson Street.
Oh, the Jefferson, gotcha, okay.
Street and Vaughn.
Plenty of space down there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just keep 12 in the new parking lot. We're trying,
Okay.
camping obviously makes us money, but we're trying to whittle some campers down because it gets super congested and crazy for everybody.
Okay,
And you're gonna keep, access to Chill Bill as open as you can. so
As
they can
open as
still-
we can, yeah.
so I know
Yeah.
Chiboli's and the restaurant,
Lighthouse,
yeah,
White House.
yeah.
White House.
Yep. Everything's remaining the same.
Well, what we've done in the past, because it seems it comes up every year, is the early closure, we want to make sure that doesn't affect Chillbilly's, meaning
Absolutely.
they can still get access off of Mulberry Street into the restaurant
Yep.
and the parking lot.
We
I
just
think that,
closed their Vaughn Drive entrance and they can still get access from.
I think
from
that's
Mulberry.
worked out pretty good, if it just
Yeah.
move it far
Yeah.
enough south on Mulberry so that it doesn't impede their parking until
Yep.
the actual event, and then as normal.
Yep.
Makes it easy when you're a good neighbor and try to take care of each other.
Oh, yeah. We appreciate Joey and all he's done,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we want to try to keep him as happy as possible.
Appreciate it.
Did I understand right that you said you had 32 campers in the parking lot between Poplar and Central? But now you're only gonna have 12?
Correct.
So what are you gonna do with the other 20?
Some have moved to a different location, that Jefferson Street lot, only about 5 of them. Others have moved to other camp spots that are available inside the footprint, and some people just aren't coming back.
Oh, okay.
I know you
Yeah.
had some openings up there on the east end, up
Yep.
between St. Michael's
Yep.
going to west, so
Yep.
there was some available
Yep.
parking for campers up there.
Yeah, we moved most of them. There's probably 10 people that aren't coming back. So the other 10 moved to a different spot or just stayed in that Poplar Central area.
Seemed like it worked okay last year, and
Mm-hmm.
those campers on the east end down by the bridge had some great viewing
Oh, yeah.
areas.
They really did.
Yep.
I'll move that we approve Resolution 2024-11B.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
Any discussion, comments, or questions? It's going to be another fantastic year, great headliners for
Absolutely.
Friday and Saturday. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Cal, thanks, pal.
Thank you.
See you. Okay. We do have on here Chief and Major of the MPD retirement of Canine Officer Zemo. Did we table that? Are we gonna, do you wanna talk about it today and maybe put a game plan? We were trying to figure out the procedure to do it by,
Yeah, we've never had a policy on the books concerning the retirement, so I think we would like to table that,
okay.
maybe for the next meeting.
Do we have an SOP that establishes guidelines for the canines themselves? I couldn't find one, but,
We have one, right, for canines. Just the selection.
Oh, selection of the handler?
And who can be the handler, but
okay,
not really any concerning the care of the dog or what happens after it retires and then all the equipment. So we're gonna work on that. I know the mayor's emailed me a couple policies. So we're gonna look at that and maybe try to get that into the next meeting. And
it would be a good one. I think if we have time to do it, I think that'd be the way, and then it can be handled internally from thereafter.
Yep. So,
Just for them, we shared back and forth some other SOPs relative to utilization of canines and their retirement and the care post-retirement. So if we put this in an SOP, we can adopt it, and then,
Yep.
from here on forward, it'll be easy for y'all.
all right.
If that works. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we table the MPD retirement of canine.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Chief, any other updates you want to give us?
We're
Well,
moving
you're-
forward in the hiring process. We've got 5 candidates that'll be moving to the merit board interviews on March 13th. Then after the merit board interviews, we'll start on the background investigations, and then hopefully we can make recommendations to the merit board. That's the biggest thing going on right now.
That's important. Staffing is always important. And then tomorrow night at City Council, we'll be presenting a couple of awards, correct?
Yes,
MPD awards
yes.
for good work with our police officers, and also recognize, our retiring major and chief again.
Yep.
right.
Chief Wallace says he's gonna be here. He's dealing with some stuff up in Indianapolis with one of his kids right now. He's up there, but I talked to him this morning. He said he should be able to be back here, so.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Be great. Thank you, Chief.
Chief, can I see you after the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, dang it. My apologies. Does it have to be today's meeting? 'Cause it may take a
Calling
while.
on the carpet, so.
All right, well, we'll turn our attention over to PACE and code enforcement update for the balance of the meeting. Nicole?
Good morning. Got 2 PACE items for you. The first is an extension request for 705 Walnut Street. Tyree Jenkins is here to represent that, and I'll let her answer whatever questions you have. But she's asking for a 12-month extension, which means her new deadline would be March 14th, 2025. I did include the scope of work that was included in her grant request originally.
Okay. Tari, are you here? You would like to come up? Good morning.
Good morning.
What you got there?
I thought I couldn't ask for 12 month.
That's what you had in your request.
Okay,
I'm gonna guess it. Hold on a second.
okay.
You want, yeah, make a copy for all 3 of us, if you don't mind. A couple more for them. Thank you. All right, good morning.
Good
Maybe
morning.
while she's making a copy of that, describe where we are. So we're almost a year into your restoration and abatement of the unsafe nature of the building. So perhaps give us your update on what's happened in the course of the past year.
The unsafe part of the building was remedied, as you know. So with PACE funds and with the funds we had and our contractor, we remedied that, and then it became even more unsafe because the floor was taken out. So then we paid additional to make sure we had a new floor put in the back, and hopefully we can restructure in the back. Our contractor, the document that you just got, was supposed to have been someone that knew about preservation and city ordinances and regulations and conditional use and permits and the design, the state review. So I was not informed of all of that. So that's a long process that we're having to now go through. I didn't even know about conditional use. I didn't know about the ordinances that had changed. I was assured that this contractor knew all of these steps and these things, so we just kept going back and forth with his quotes and what he's gonna do. So what he ended up doing without a contract or our approval is taking more money that we could have used elsewhere and time to have really did stuff on the inside. He took out walls, he took out floors, even taking the back down. So that ended up taking funds that we would have used to do preferably the roofing. We can't do the masonry until the roofing's done. Well, we really can't do a whole lot of anything until we get the conditional use. So now we need conditional use. To do conditional use, you have to have a hearing for that. And then to do construction and costs, you have to have your architect design the construction design release, which I would have thought the contractor would have known. A building of that size, you're taking out walls and floors, you're gonna have to have a construction design release, which I've been talking to your new building inspector
Brian.
about that. So we're in the process of going through all of the preliminaries, I guess you would say, still, for making sure that we're able to construct the building the right way with the cost. When I went to do funding, our neighbor, and this bank is not local, she chased us down in the street. She also has often gone to my contractor, and she was waiting for me by my car. She's put signs in her yard. This neighbor has been a problem, and I guess she's encouraged to come and make herself known about, 705. Now, I've gone through Walnut Street. Our property's empty. There's properties that look far worse than our property, which has been the picture of blightedness. There's properties that look far worse than ours that is occupied. Now, ours is reboarded up, and that's an older picture, and we whited out the windows just to give it a little more curb appeal. But in essence, her yard, I wouldn't want to live next to her with all the stuff in her yard. So what I told her, if she continues to be a problem for me, that when she does get ready to sell her house like she did before, I think she bought it for maybe 50 and was trying to sell it for 150. So her biggest concern is, you're taking down the value of the neighborhood. You're taking down the value of the neighborhood. I want to sell my house. I can't sell my house because of you.
Hey, Terry, Ms. Jenkins, I think we're off the rails just a
We're
little
off
bit
the rails
relative.
because this person has been, I actually had to call the police on her.
We're here to talk about a
Yes,
PACE extension,
yes.
and you brought up a couple of things. First and foremost, we need to confirm that the unsafe designation of the property has been abated.
Yes.
And I believe that's for which the PACE grant was mainly additional to your match that you're putting in investing in the property. That was a main, I think, use of the PACE funding, was to help provide financial support for the abatement of the unsafe structure. So I know that you've brought up a conditional use permit and a CDR requirements. That is all true, which is based upon how you're going to use the property in the future, and that could also obviously affect your design. What we're most concerned about with regard to right now is the extension of the PACE grant and the timetable, but also the abatement of the unsafe elements that had been identified before.
Well, that had already been eradicated from the initial funds, but PACE or you added the painting. So the only reason why part of that is not done because we got to do some other stuff that was added.
Yeah, no, we had asked.
So the eradication of the unsafe part is, that's completed.
Yeah. Is it complete? Is it safe? I mean, I haven't been there. I've been in there. You mentioned floor joists,
That's interior.
that's interior.
The exterior, like I said, the flooring have been reestablished.
Brian's here, so Brian, could you comment on the abatement of the unsafe elements of the structure and if you believe it's safe?
Yes, sir. It is about 85% abated on the southwest side towards the chimney.
Okay.
There's two areas that are about 4 foot by 4 foot that are exposed all the way. So elements come in there, and then that overhang, which is about 12 foot wide, about 12 foot in length, 4 foot wide. You know, pigeons, any kind of vermin or anything can get in there. So that's the only thing not abated. All the windows and everything else have been boarded up. It's got a fence around it. It's safe that way. It's just the two areas on the roof and the overhang.
Okay. Structurally, is it sound?
From what I can tell, yes. But, I mean, without being on the interior to see what the walls are like, I have no idea. Not having a first story floor in it, you know, this is something I would have to be on the inside to assess that part.
Okay. Okay.
Are there bricks? It looked to me like, of course, I can't go on the property either, but it looks to me like there's some loose bricks.
There
falling
are,
down-
yes,
Have fallen into the yard, and it looks like that's gotten worse in the last year.
there are no more, there's no more issues with any more falling bricks that could fall now.
Okay.
What has fallen is done, and it's been pretty well boarded up,
Okay.
yes.
Yep.
But mainly just well, good, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say the removal of the rear part that was heavily damaged has been, that's been abated, and then I saw the foundation, and of course, the new foundation's there, it's got the flooring on it.
That's correct.
Okay. But, so what you're describing is, I mean, I think you should.
Is the structure going to fall anytime soon? Is that,
Well, I mean, that's what we need to determine
Yes.
is if it's safe, number one. And then number two is to follow through with what is the restoration plan relative to what was promised under the PACE grant.
but structurally, it's safe other than, like I said, just all those elements coming in right now that can make things worse if they're not, if those two holes aren't abated in the overhang.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Jenkins? Yes, please, if you don't mind. I just want, well, would you, permit our building inspector to see the interior of the structure?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
If you guys are-
Been in- we just reboarded it. It seems like every time that we get it reboarded, a contractor, architect, or somebody needs to get in there, and it ends up being unboarded. Can you reboard it? Yeah, they can just re-secure it, because I have to get somebody to secure it.
Do you
all
have
the
do you have a contractor now who's working on it?
No, I don't have a contractor now that's working on it, because we can't do anything until we, get the conditional use. We're not gonna do anything else till we know what we're reconstructing at this point. But, Nicole was just pointing out to me what he was talking about, because that's really the first I've heard of the unsafe part being anything in the roof line. It was all in the initial, letter from the city was the back, and, those bricks are because we want to re-brick the facade so it looks like it did originally. That's why they're still there.
What I think Brian was pointing out did not look very major, but it would, and when we talk about unsafe, it's basically shielding it from any exposure from the elements as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
right? Or anybody gaining access
Right.
into it, and also making sure that it's shored up such that the structure is safe.
Right, she
Yeah.
was just showing me what they're talking about, which I wasn't aware that was a part of it.
So, I mean, my question on the timeline here, and thank you for preparing this, a lot of detailed information. If you don't have a contractor, how are you going to?
I didn't say I didn't have a contractor.
Oh, I asked you if you had a contractor, and you said
I
no.
thought you said, do I have a contractor that's actually working on
okay,
it?
yes.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood
my-
your question.
Okay, so who is your contractor?
I have several contractors that I think I gave you, proposals for their work. So for the roofing, I have a contractor. For masonry, I have a contractor. That's another thing I wanna talk to the, is it Sean, the building inspector? About, is having, Brian, I'm
Yep.
sorry, Brian, is having a multiple for the, construction design release. So the best way to move forward, so I'm not blindsided by all these other ordinances and permits and what's allowed and what's not allowed.
So are you
in
acting as your
Madison.
own general contractor, hiring subcontractors to do different trades?
That depends on what he tells me I have, a general contractor liaison, but I have, bids and proposals that I think you guys may have from contractors because I had to get more than one. So do I use one general contractor? I mean, for costs, I'm told that's better, but from the list of contractors that I was given, their availability, and from the contractor that I had, who was supposed to have been knowledgeable about all of these processes, it's like I'm still working through that, and I'm gonna work through, hopefully today with your building inspector.
Okay. And what
So
is-
we're moving forward with, when we're ready, with who we're actually going to use.
Okay, and what is your intended use of the building?
Well, on the top floor, we still want to use those as rental units. On the front, where there was an apartment, we want to use that for a cultural part of the building where we would have the, Georgetown area Underground Railroad exhibit. And then on the back, we are thinking of wanting to use it for transient housing where we have, because we're not-for-profit, we'll have income from, transient housing where the new construction will have to be, where we took down the, back part of it.
Explain the housing on the back again, transient? I mean, is that like, 1 day at a time, 2 days at a time, a week at a time?
Kind of like Airbnb, like, if, I wouldn't call it like a hotel room, but kind of like that, where it's like for tourists or, short-term rental, something like that.
Okay, all right,
And parking, the lot in the back for
right,
parking.
so that, what you're describing there is when you get to your, conditional design, or the construction design release and the conditional use permit from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
The planning, yeah.
Yeah,
Board of
because of
Zoning.
it's currently zoned, I believe, historic district residential and for one dwelling.
Yeah, everything downtown pretty much is.
Yeah, okay.
But right now, you don't have a contractor to call and say, when are you gonna come to work?
Yes, I do have contractors I can call. If I wanted a roof done today, and most of them told me, is once we have funds, once we have conditional use, once we're ready, it's a 2-week turnaround. That's why I gave you the dates that I gave you, based on their estimates, based on, there's more availability for a contractor to come if he's an individual contractor versus a general contractor to come and do the whole building. So if I wanted to get roofing done today, yep, I'm ready to go. If I wanted to get, within a 2-week turnaround, because surely they're working on other properties. If I wanted to get Isabel, the, masonry person, yep, I'm ready to go. Give me 2 weeks. If it's, the floor joist, level, yep, we're ready to go. Give us about 2 weeks. So I have estimates from a number of contractors who will be available when I call them. If they're individuals, they're available. If I wanted to do one contractor, say, hey, come and do this building, the availability is not there.
And when we look at the scope of the work on the grant, it was fire clean out and removal, foundation repair, roof replacement, and then the paint of the structure.
Well, the paint of the structure was not there. That was added after.
Have you agreed to paint at least the front facade?
I haven't agreed to do anything different. I mean, not in writing. I mean, it's part of it.
Well,
I mean, once we have funding at this point, all of it's gonna be done.
well, that's what I'm kind of getting at is that some of the things that you've described as, barriers of completing your project, because it's a comprehensive project, particularly once you move to the interior. There's going to be a lot of investment on your part there.
That's right.
And then that is going to be, driven by, your use, the
That's
funding
right.
levels, the
That's right.
CDR requirements. But relative to the scope of the grant, it would seem like you could finish the work that was described under the scope of the grant, because it's not being held up by a BZA or a state issuance of a CDR, is it?
No, I thought it was finished. My understanding was the back of the building, not the other part of the building. So what you're talking about and what she just showed me is the other part of the building. So when we took down the walls, we took down the floor, we cleaned out the fire part, we took down the roofing line that was there. My understanding, it was that area of the building. So what you're talking about is the other area of the building.
Yeah, the whole building.
Yes.
That's, I mean, I'm reading what's on the slide here. It says roof replacement, whole structure. A foundation repair, I'm assuming that's the whole structure if it needs repair. Certainly the rear portion where you had to demolish that part of the building that was heavily damaged by the fire, you know, we can obviously see that that's been, the foundation's been repaired there.
No, the foundation repair was never a part, it was never an issue that I knew of as far as the city goes with the other part of the building. The foundation repair, as far as I knew, was any area that was outlined in the diagram that the building inspector put on that unsafe portion.
What would be in the application, we want to look at the application?
The whole building? Yeah. Fire cleanup, removal, labor, foundation repair, see attached, and roof replacement. Yeah, for that area. Because that's only, oh, okay. That was, yeah. So, okay, what are you asking me then?
Well, I was asking really is that what we're trying to do today, right, is understand what's the timeline for the work that was approved for the grant to be completed. And I think that's a separate discussion than the work you'll do for to the Board of Zoning Appeals or to the IDHS for a CDR relative to how you want to repurpose the building and apartments and short-term rentals and a museum, all those things. That's very, very different. And my opinion is that shouldn't be holding up finishing what was promised under the PACE grant.
Well, what was promised under the PACE grant was to do those areas that was unsafe. So I guess I didn't understand that because that was like what you got, what the PACE grant gives is like $25,000, and I had to have matching dollars for that. So my understanding of the PACE grant, even though I listed my whole budget, I could have listed the whole building there. It wasn't for the whole building. It was specifically the funds from the PACE grant for the area that was deemed unsafe.
Well, you have an unsafe structure that the PACE committee and the board approved a $25,000 grant towards your project, and often, I'd say all the time, it's not just for that, it's for the entire project. So if someone comes in and says, you know, I'm getting ready to do this is my scope of work, we'll say we'll contribute $25,000 toward that scope of work. Even though you've got the broader
Yeah,
project. It wasn't just,
yeah.
hey, our $25,000 just goes for that, and
Yeah.
then the building is just, you know.
Yeah, our scope of work is hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
That $25,000 toward that was, in my understanding, for the unsafe portion. So yeah, I mean, that's what it went toward.
I mean, what we would like to see is the exterior of the property improved. So that is what's there. And that's really kind of we're less concerned about what you're doing on the inside other than whatever's needed to make the entire structure
Right.
stable
Right.
and secure. And then, again, it's preservation and community enhancement,
Yeah.
which is why we came back and said, well, can you paint the facade so that now what we're trying to do is continue to go north with all the new investment that's happening
Right.
on Walnut Street,
Yeah.
that it doesn't look like an unfinished, property when you're done abating all the unsafe elements of it.
Well, we can slap some paint on there. I just didn't want to just do that because that's what's been done. We'll do a little bit of this and we'll do a little bit of that and we'll have to do this and we'll have to do that. I really want to do it right.
Yeah.
And I really want to do a good job. I really want the roof on first. I really want the guttering painted. I want the masonry done. I want it painted right. I want it done in the right process.
Right.
So to do all of that, it requires funding. To get the funding, I have to get the conditional use. So what's holding me up, and I put that in my statement to you guys, is, your ordinances are to come to the city, like you just said,
Yep.
because it's zone residential. So to get funding, I really have to know, because we're in hundreds of thousands of dollars, whether it's the inside or the outside, right? So to do that, to even move forward with what's on the PACE proposal, I've got to get funding. And not only that, what was done, a lot of what was done, ended up being some of the stuff on the outside that I didn't have to do that took funding that maybe would have went toward the roof. But to really get the whole roof done, I wouldn't want to paint a roof paint the building and then you have water coming down because you have guttering issues or the roof is not done. So I really want to do this project so that it's done right.
Yeah, now
it's
you and I are
done
on the same
well.
page about that. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that, what's described there is great. What's described there, because we thought that was the project, right? That was about the exterior. That fit really nicely in with the purpose and mission for the PACE grant program. It provided some level of matching funds for the scope of work that you were proposing to state you were doing there.
Well, I have to say
Yeah.
that I really didn't understand that everything that I put on there, if it was, I don't know, 100,000+ or something, needed to be available to do all of that. What I thought
Yeah.
I understood was what the city actually wanted to see done was what they outlined, which is what I made sure I did with those funds.
And those four things there I think are ideal of what we'd like to see done on that property.
Yeah, but I mean the
With-
unsafe
not
part.
with-
That wasn't on none of that was on the foundation. None of that was on the report from the building inspector as considered unsafe. So I think what I'm saying is the part that was deemed unsafe, the back, which had nothing to do with painting, nothing to do with masonry, nothing to do with all of that. As you know, when you get into a project, had no idea the clean out was only like $6,000. Had no idea we were going to have to pay masonry having to pay 3 times that just to get that part safe. That was taking the whole thing down, right? So, like I said, hadn't we had to do what was unforeseen, probably would have been able to get some of the other stuff done. But we ended up having to take the whole thing down, clean out the whole thing, take out all of that stuff that ended up happening when that proposal was done was just not in the plans. Not in the plans. No idea.
So probably if we were trying to parse this into sections, the fire clean out removal, that's completed, correct?
Yes,
That's
that
the-
was
that's
what
that
was
rear
in the
part?
back that the city cited.
And I don't know what, other than the foundation repair, what you're saying, which would be for the rear structure that had to be demolished.
And
is-
replaced.
Is there a foundation issues with the rest of the structure?
No,
Okay.
no. They ended up not being foundation issues, actually. But the contractor went on and took out all of the floor joists and just a bunch of other stuff.
What we're striving to do is have the properties look
I understand.
improved after a PACE grant is
I
given to them. And we've had, I would say, 99% success on that. And we've had a few that didn't do that. When it's required us to modify our guidelines along the way so that there's more clarity relative to when someone drives by a property that's got $25,000 of City of Madison public money invested in it, that it looks better than it did before. And that's why, when you've still got a lot of work to do on this
Oh,
building,
yeah.
and so it's not lost on me at all relative to the amount of investment that it's going to require to get this back to an inhabitable structure after decades of sitting there uninhabited, which is horrible. So,
Yeah,
what I'd like to do is, have our building inspector, if he can go to the inside and
Anytime.
confirm that it's structurally safe. Then for me, if that's confirmed, and I want the board and anybody here can speak as well, but for me, I appreciate the work you've done, right? Because I've been by, of course, I grew up on Walnut Street, been by this property hundreds and hundreds of times. Removing that rear portion was very important. Rebuilding that foundation, having a plan for the property is really important. What I'd still like to see is just the couple things that Brian mentioned, relative to the exposure to the elements that could undo a lot of the hard work you're already doing. And then,
Absolutely.
and then knowing that this could you could still be there's a long haul here. There's a long view, right? Which is you still have to go through the planning side of things, Ms. Jenkins, to get to the approval of how you want to use the property. And then that's going to trigger going to getting your designs done and going to the state for the CDR if it's going to be used for the public, and then working with the contractors and funding. We could easily be talking about another year's worth of labor on bringing this back to life. couldn't
It
we?
would definitely be another year's worth of labor bringing it back to life, undoubtedly. But it won't be another year's worth of work to do the roofing.
Yeah, and that's
and
what,
to
so
do-
I think that the things that Brian talked about, again,
Yeah,
abating the unsafe elements of
Yeah.
this was really, really important.
right.
So, and it sounds like there's you said it's about 85% of the way there, Brian?
Correct, Your Honor. And, Mayor, and what we'll do.
Were you
is
about to
like
call
all
me
the-
your honor?
Yeah, I did.
We're gonna stop.
Okay, keep going.
But we'll go over that today, and then I'll have the UBR as well. So she'll understand everything that we consider unsafe for
Okay.
our ordinance, okay? Because we're working off the old one that the previous building inspector has done. And
Okay.
I've made a new one, so there's, where it's kind of lost a little bit in translation, so we'll go over that surveys up today.
Okay, and so, I mean, it seems like if you're 85% of the way there, you know, the facade does matter to us because that does give the curb appeal, the visual change, the transformation that is happening. People aren't gonna notice it because they still see the old, and I appreciate you taking out the plywood too. That made a huge difference. And I know,
But the last building inspector said to put it up, there was always windows there. So
Yep.
the last building inspector said, board it up, and then this administration said, take them down. So,
well,
but if you look at our timeline, my question is, based on what you like to see, right? And yeah, it's, when we say a year, it would be a year once we get funding to finish the whole building
Yeah.
where it's functional, for sure. But based on the timeline I've given you, I need to know where you all are with that.
I think this timeline, to me, I'm not a fan of a year,
No, this
but-
doesn't have a year on it.
but this looks like a good timeline.
Okay.
I think you're gonna need more time than this.
No, for the building, yes. For this, well, I guess it depends on the city. I guess it depends on, how much of this am I gonna have to go through? So if I'm gonna have to go through you guys on these boards, it's, if it's gonna be delayed every month, come back with this and come back with this. Yeah, I could be standing here a year from now.
Well, there's a lot of preparation. If you surround yourself with the right people,
Right.
and have really good communication with our staff, they can guide you. It's not hard, but if you
It's time.
haven't done it
Time.
repetitiously,
Yeah.
it can seem really, really hard and
Well,
take
I
up a
picked up
tremendous
two
amount of time.
people on our board, that have kind of, Melissa Lee is one, that has gone through this with you
Yep.
guys a number of times. And, Gwen Smith, she's gone through building with you guys. So I have picked up a couple of people that have gone through this cycle. But again, it's almost like a day late, dollar short. We're in a year, and it's kind of like, I feel like I'm just becoming informed, where I just felt like the contractor should have known all this. I mean, even when he first did the walkthrough, and we had the other building inspector. I mean, all of this processing, in my opinion, from one of them could have been communicated. You see, this building is blighted, it's dilapidated. What you're telling me now is what a contractor or the building inspector, or even maybe planning or preservation, I've talked to them, and we've had meetings, and they know the plans, and they see the building. And I'm really just feeling like, okay, well, if you're gonna keep this building, now let you know what you have to go through. So now I'm going through it.
On this, the timeline looks fine to me.
But that's just for that initial, what you're telling me now. That's on the unsafe, the roofing,
To me, what's left to
the
do.
exterior, put it
Yeah,
that way.
what's left to do if we drill it down to abating the unsafe structure
The exterior.
is the 15% that Brian described is undone, and it sounds like you're very close. And then just the painting of the facade, because I think that will alleviate just how the structure looks and starts again. This is if you drive down North Walnut Street now, but if you had started that journey around 2020, you would see, and if you can even bring in parts of Third Street and parts of East
Oh, I
Street.
know.
You're seeing a
Lot of
transformation, you're
improvement.
seeing a transformation
Absolutely.
happening.
Absolutely.
If you go down Fourth Street, over to Mulberry Street, and up West Street, all over town,
Yeah,
it's, the investment you're making here
Yes.
is going to lead somebody else to say, wow, my block's starting to change.
right.
It's transforming.
Yeah.
I'm going to make an investment. Or if they don't want to make the investment, they can sell the property and then somebody else will make the investment. So the positive benefits of just that facade could lead into hundreds of thousands of dollars of new investment candidly, which is why we're
For
so
the
focused on the
Yeah.
facade.
Yeah.
But I think you're almost there relative to the original scope of work for abating the unsafe nature of it.
Well, I just hope that, a lot of these hearings and this process is not, it doesn't have to continue to just be prolonged and prolonged. I mean, I just need to know up front, right? So we're not having to be, well, we're not gonna let you do this, you can't do this, you can't do that. So just say it up front, what can and can't be done, so, it can be progressive.
So on this matter, again, the board and the public can chime in. I would approve the 6-month extension that you've asked for here. Or I'd do 6 months. I know it's only about 3 or 4. Subject to his inspection, completion of the 15% of the unsafe items on the exterior, and painting the facade. And I think this building will look very different in
Yeah.
a few months.
Right, and that's what I have on my timeline, July 30th for my final report. That's 6 months. And I thought that's what we're gonna be allowed,
So,
6 months, for the exterior.
I would move that we approve extending the PACE grant to July 30th, 2024, subject to inspection, abatement of the remaining 15% items that he identifies, and painting of the facade. Just the front elevation only. Would you be
Okay.
agreeable to that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll second the
By
mayor's
July
motion.
30th, right? Yeah,
Yeah, by July 30th.
right,
I'll second the mayor's motion.
okay.
Now we'll open up for discussion. Board, anything? Any public comment?
I was sitting here.
And you are?
Debbie Beeman, 709 Walnut Street. I was sitting here waiting for this meeting to start when Tyree Jenkins comes over and gets in my face and starts making all kinds of threats to me and bashing my Trump flags and telling me how she's going to make her property even worse if I were to put it up for sale. This is the kind of stuff she's not up here saying to you all. And like calling the police on me and all this stuff, never once have I had a police officer come to me. Y'all, I think it's awful convenient that she doesn't understand so much stuff. I think it's awful convenient that all these contractors she deals with, it's always them. I just find that awful convenient while that place sits there and nothing gets done. And I don't care if she likes my flags or I don't care. And I am not her neighbor. She kept referring to me as neighbor. She's not a neighbor. Our little area is a neighborhood, but she is not our neighbor. If she were, she'd do something with that place or sell it. Thanks.
Any other public comment? We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got one more PACE item for you. A final report from Mark Paterna at 526 Walnut Street. This is a dilapidated structure that he had previously received half of his funds for, so he's asking for the final half of this structure. Was covered in vinyl siding, which was really the only way it was still standing. You can see there the daylight between the wall and the floor. That was basically the case all around. It had severe termite damage, but it has been restored with the original wood exposed, and some LP Smart siding added in places where it couldn't be saved, and then painted all new windows, doors. And then he's still working on the interior, but the exterior looks complete. And that is in agreement with his PACE grant, so he's asking for the final disbursement of $12,500.
I make a motion, we approve the grant for 526 Walnut Street, the final.
I missed the house that was leaning, or being held up by the leaning tree next door.
Bring back your childhood again.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Played in that house, near that house many, many times. I'll second Carl's motion. Thank you both. Thank you, Terry, and thank you, Brian, for the work on Walnut Street. Hearing none, any comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thanks. Okay.
And then blight update, I'm going to turn the podium over to Brian and Dewey from our office to give you that update.
Oh, no one heard you. Your mic wasn't on, but I heard you. Thank you, Dewey.
You know it's gonna be on for forever now, you know the way.
There, your honors, yeah, okay. All right, trying to add a little levity here. Let's see. All right, yeah, I thought I'd take you through a couple of demos that we've been asking, some progress being made, actually. A couple of zoning issues that I bring to your attention, and then we'll open it up. Currently we have 119 active cases regarding neglect, cases that are either structures that are neglected, vacant, or abandoned, or even some combination of those three. That is an increase since I was last in front of you of 7 structures that we've identified. 3 demo permits have been issued, and there have been 2 recent demolitions. The property you're looking at here, you may remember 841 Banta Avenue up on the hill. It still needs cleanup. In fact, both of these that I'm going to talk about need cleanup, but the structure is down, so we are very happy about that. We also have some building permits issued, and then Nicole and the PACE program is continuing.
So you're saying there have been 8 building permits issued on one of, or for one of the 119 structures you've
Yes,
identified as neglected, vacant, or abandoned?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And 9 PACE grants are in place, okay.
Okay, this is 145 Lafayette. There has been slow demolition happening here. In previous updates, you've noticed the porch is gone from here. The hole in the roof is still there. The owner is not here today, but I have spoken to him. He assured me that by March 15th, this structure will also be demolished. His building, or his demo permit was actually issued in June of 2022, and I've spoken to him twice now. Brian, I think, has spoken to him as well, a couple of times. So we have good communication finally with that, and by March 15th, we expect this to be demoed as well.
Okay.
March 15th.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yep.
It's a nice little street.
Is it?
Yeah.
Quiet.
Yep, just down the hill
Okay.
from St.
Good.
Michael's.
2022. Okay. Almost 2 years into making.
This we're all familiar with as well, down by City Garage, 1207 North Walnut. We issued a notice to appear here today to Mr. Shelton. I don't think he's here today with, you here, Ron?
Michelle.
Together.
Come on up. You want to do that too?
I got another piece of property I would like to give them.
Okay.
I was in this, all out.
You do all that by yourself?
Yeah, I did Saturday.
Look at that.
But actually, I'd already inquired about the equipment, well, the letter's in the mail, I guess.
Okay.
I still got a little bit more to do, but funds is funds,
Sure.
I got some trees down in the back, can't see, but.
What do
trees
you-
a lot up in the back too, but, I make make y'all a proud owner of it today for $75,000. It's close to the city garage.
I commend you for your work.
I was gonna say,
You
it's,
said you were gonna do it yourself, and you would stay with it.
It
And I
is,
commend you on that.
It took me a little while, but, I mean,
Are you by
I
yourself?
salvaged a lot of it, you know.
it is a, attractive location, I think.
Good, I would say it goes all the way back to the creek almost, and, wide lot, it's a double lot there, and, make a good property.
Quite salesman.
I am interested in acquiring one of the PACE grants, seems like people get, because I wanna sell this one and, invest in the other property that's downtown here, not too far from the church on Second Street. And I wanna get started on that this year.
PACE grant, it's great for those.
I don't know, I tried one time and they go quick. I don't know how quick they go.
We're early in the year now, so we have
Do it
plenty of
now.
funding capacity.
Now,
Next application cycle's what, April, due April?
so you,
You have time to.
The applications are due April 1st?
yeah.
Okay,
So you can
so we
just-
fund it every quarter.
Thank
So
you.
what are we doing here, Dewey?
wait.
Thank you, Ms. Shelton. Thank you for taking the action on this. I think now we're just down to the cleanup.
I talked to, some investor out of Arizona, once he called, of course, they called me back before Christmas, and then I was out of the country for a month. Then I come back. Oh,
So when are we looking at finishing the cleanup then on that?
I don't know, I'm on fixed income, as soon as I get me some money, I'm gonna, go to the bank this week, cause I got some other money I wanna invest in, something else. I got some equipment, cause I use that, and I see, you can keep a guy busy with all the demolition work, you know, so I'm gonna try to get me some, excavator, bobcat. So I'm gonna so
Rough
that property-
estimate?
Is it possible in a couple of months you could have this
Oh, yeah,
cleaned
yeah,
up?
Yeah, yeah, within 6 months, sure.
Well, I mean, a couple of
I'm ready to
months.
sell it. You know, I'm having, you know,
Because it's also going to help you sell the property a little better, I think, if the site's cleared. I know we have thank you for doing the demolition. Now we just need to get the debris removed.
and, yeah,
We'll talk further.
okay.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
At least you didn't
Thank
do
you very
this.
much.
Yeah, I know. Thank God. So you work with Mr. Shelton on a reasonable date for
Yes,
the removal of debris? Thank you,
Yep.
Ms. Shelton.
absolutely. Okay.
Is that it relative to
One more,
the unsafe structures? Are we,
one more.
did we postpone the third one because Mr. Wallace couldn't be here?
Mr. Wallace here?
He was here, but then he left.
He's feeling bad.
Okay, he was here. Can we postpone, can we
Sure.
table this one then?
Yep, absolutely. And just a few zoning issues. I continue to see, we did have a Moody Park timeline update if you wanted to chat with that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
He was in communication with the
Yeah.
owner, and they committed to having the demolition done by March 15th. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was the first, the yellow house that came up. He's already taken the porch off of it. The rest of it's scheduled to come down.
So-
March 15th.
Our only concern with that one is because the demo permit was issued such a long time ago that while we are in current communication with the owner, there's been a tendency for that communication to lapse. So we're concerned about him staying on his timeline. So we did issue a public hearing notice to him, and would ask the board probably to issue a order for demo. We
Okay.
could put that on the next meeting and try to get that owner here if the board would rather them be in attendance.
I'm impartial either way, honestly. It's been a long time coming with regard to that structure. And
On
There was
140
never a
Jo-
official order.
we did not order, we issued a permit for demolition in June of 2022, so going on 2 years.
June 7th, 2022, it was issued. Well, the application, I'm guessing. Yep.
You know, it would probably be, do you think it'd be better if the owner of the property was here for the hearing and table it to the next meeting?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't love requesting a public hearing and then either not tabling it or doing something. The whole goal behind
but the owner is not here.
I agree, I think you have to do that, and I think the owner, I don't know what the communication was from the owner, to be here, not to be here.
If the owner continues to not pursue action under the permit that was issued or attend the hearing that was requested, we need to take action one way or the other.
Mayor,
Yes.
Mr. Kelly did call me earlier this morning. Had his truck broke down. He's going to meet me at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I know it is not bearing with the meeting, but
Okay? Well, I'll move that we table table and reschedule the public hearing for 145 Lafayette Street to the next meeting, which will be March 18th.
And here, Mr. Wallace couldn't be.
And same thing with 755 West Third. Is that okay, Joe?
Yes.
Need a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to extend the public hearing for 145 Lafayette and 755 West Third Street to March 18, 2024. Any discussion, comments, or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
We can chat about Moody Park. I wasn't certain if you wanted to do that. I just had it in the presentation today.
I think the update on Moody Park is no mediation, and now we'll be preparing for a trial in the circuit court in April or May. I don't remember the exact date off the top of my head, but we're now moving toward preparing for the trial.
Okay.
Relative to the Board of Public's order, which was issued in March of 2023. March 20, I believe it was March of 2023.
I believe you're correct.
Where we issued the order for the removal of 7 unsafe structures. 3 of those were voluntarily removed. Looks like, in my opinion, the stop work order was not followed, so we'll be taking the case to court.
Okay. All right. Finally, I continue to see more and more storage containers from a zoning standpoint. This is up on, sorry, go back. This is Mr. Tullis's property, or Mrs. Tullis's property now, up on West State Street. So I just was making you aware of some of the things I'm seeing zoning-wise. I did find another one in the trailer park that runs off of Wilson and what's the cross street? I guess Banta's probably it's Tower Court.
Up there close to the water tower?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yep.
right there, that's true.
My first thought that this might have been something with maybe the railroad or something along those lines, but under doing the investigation, I figured out that it's on the parcel. It's actually the neighboring trailer. It's her husband's. There's a bunch of work equipment in there, basically construction equipment type stuff. So, but we're working on that through the office to get these things corrected. So that's really all I have for you guys today.
That's it?
Any
That's
questions?
all?
Yes, Your Honor, that's it.
Next meeting on March 18th, we want a detailed report on each of the 119 structures that are unsafe or neglected.
This is where my,
Over the course of the next several months at the first meeting as agreed to.
It's a lot,
this is where my request for overtime comes in.
yeah. And we haven't even talked about the nuisance cases that you're working. I mean, those are unsafe structures, but it's an enormous amount of work, and I was probably on the phone 3 or 4 times over the weekend with resident concerns about, nearby properties. It's something we just got to keep working at and continue to dedicate the resources for. Continue to prioritize the work for the most impact, and make sure we are developing our policies. It's going to be key there, making sure we have the authority to do what we need in order to get the outcome that we want. Fortunately, the PACE program continues to deliver big impact with big investments, and that's our preferred route.
Exactly. Yep.
We'll continue to make investments in PACE until we run out of properties. It doesn't look like that's gonna happen anytime soon.
I need to make it 10 years, right? Is that what it is?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Not a whole lot of mayor's comments, just kind of previewed for you that we're gonna continue to take a very aggressive posture towards blight elimination and nuisances, because we believe that's the best way toward historic preservation goals we have for the city, but notwithstanding the historic district, but outside of the city, or outside of that district, it's important that we focus on making the right investments in areas that need investment. We'll continue to do that. As you look across the street today, as you walk out of this meeting, you'll see that the long-awaited facade restoration is happening now, beginning today with the Ohio Theater. In a matter of just a few months, that building's gonna look like it did probably 50 to 75 years ago, and be all lit up on Madison's Main Street with a beautiful marquee. And then tomorrow night, well, we've been talking about it here in the Board of Public Works and Safety. We'll have the third reading for the ordinance relative to our trash rates. That's critical for our transfer station operation modernization plan. So still lots happening and more to come. It's not a regular thing for you to see different size of trash containers in City Hall, but those are there to put on display, the options residents are gonna have for choosing a container, so we can eliminate the manual handling of over 7 million pounds of household trash recycling we've been collecting each year. That's it for me. I'll open the floor up to public comments. If there's anybody here who'd like to make a public comment, please come to the podium, identify your name and address, and what would you like to express to the Board of Public Works and Safety?
City looked good. Thanks all the street folks for the ladies' weekend last weekend. Everything looked nice. So,
Girls Weekend?
wait, ladies, weekend.
Yeah, Ladies Weekend. How old are you, by the way, Carl?
I'm a little bit over your knee, not much. Especially attitude.
Yeah, for sure. Hearing none, thank you all for being here today. The next meeting will be March the 18th. City Council will be tomorrow night. We also have a Parks Board tonight and Redevelopment Commission meeting tomorrow. So very busy week again in Madison. I'll move that we adjourn.
Second the motion.
David,
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
public harassment is punishable.
Punishable by.
I mean,